book lovers. Welcome to the 79th episode of Kiwi and the Bird, Book Nerds in Session.
I'm Taylor the Bird, and I love food. That's probably not very surprising, but I do. I love food. I love it so much.
I will say, the most passionate I've ever heard you talking about anything, usually about food. If it's not books, it's food. And honestly, so fair. I'm Keimi, the Kiwi, and I love when you take your car into the mechanic and it's less money than you're expecting.
That's a good feeling. Mm-hmm. That's like drinking a luck potion.
That happened to me last week, in case you couldn't tell.
What if you hadn't been to the mechanic lately and you just came up with that?
That'd be great. I just feel like I am not like other girls.
I am not like other cars.
I think about going to the mechanic because my car is not old, just been through a lot.
We love you, Bluebell.
Oh, love you so much. Please don't die on me.
And in today's episode, we're taking 15 minutes to review Sangu Mandanna's The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches, an adult magical realism story that asks the question, how lonely do you feel right now?
Oh, that's so real, though.
It's so real. I don't feel lonely right now.
No.
But I do get, generally I'm like, I do feel that question.
Yeah. If you're wondering how our book recommendations work, it's simple. Taylor and I chat about the characters, the setting, the writing style, and our favorite things from the Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches. Plus, we do this without sharing any spoilers.
Or do we?
No, we do spoilers. We just edit them out.
Stay until the end of the episode to hear our official rating for this book.
Before we get to this episode, though, if you like Kiwi and the Bird and want to support us, our Venmo is at Kiwi and the Bird. Thank you for helping us live our book nerd dream.
And now, on to the recommendation.
Actually, backtrack a little bit before we begin. We just wanted to, get it out there that this book might have a little bit of, and it does have some swearing in it and has a not entirely graphic, but not entirely subtle sex scene. So if we were to give it like a TV rating, it would be a soft R or soft MA based on those standards.
Yeah, I'm just going to leave it at that. Like,
yeah, no, that's
pretty
good,
solid.
Yeah. We did well.
We did our job. Now, for the synopsis of The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches. Mika Moon is a witch and doesn't want to hide it. But according to what she dubs the Very Secret Society of Witches, when you're a witch, you need to hide your magic, even if it leaves you in perpetual solitude. Relatable. But the day that Mika receives a strange DM on her social media saying, "Witch wanted" for a tutoring position, something in her gut says she should accept. Therefore, she ends up at Norware House, home to 3 young witches, 2 housekeepers, 1 flamboyant matchmaker, and a devastatingly handsome curmudgeon librarian. At first, Mika is shocked because the rules of magic state the more witches there are, the more chaotic magic becomes. However, upon seeing the girls' close relationships and how far their makeshift family will go to protect them, Mika begins to question everything she's been taught and heal from a past she didn't realize hurt her. But magic doesn't play fair, of course, and often uncovers lies. Will Mika run away once more, or has she finally found a house to make a home?
Aww. Who came up with that line? That's so cute.
Keimi did.
Now, our main character is obviously Mika Moon, our witch. Mika is very bright. She's very talented, and she's a very honest person, which, you know what? Good for her, because considering how she grew up, she could have been like a pathological liar.
I didn't grow up like her, and I probably wouldn't be honest like her.
But what did you think about our main character?
I think what I appreciated the most about Mika was the fact that she was very genuine. Mm-hmm. Like you said, she's very honest. She's very bright. She's someone whose smile reads like the sunlight, where you feel warm, you feel happy, you feel like she's someone that you want to be around. And it's because she is so genuine. Like, she feels things with the whole of her heart. Things that she loves, things that makes her happy, and things that have pained her too. And so to see that she is in the present story, this very happy, very bright, very welcoming and endearing character, and then to discover more about her backstory, you're like, oh,
Yeah.
Your heart is very pure when it could have become closed off, and yet you choose to love even though it scares you, and even though you're afraid of love hurting you. And it's not like she did, even though I've never seen Naruto, but I'll trust you. And so I found her very relatable, and I was like, I might see myself more in this than I expected. I might have to confront some things here, but I appreciate that it was in a warm and cozy place to do so. Mm-hmm. But what about you? What did you think about Mika?
I really liked her as our main character. I think, especially with like the grumpy sunshine trope, the sunshine character gets, like, she's very, very bright, but she's often like really manipulative and like not actually sincere. And so that kind of contrasts in what's like supposed to be the sunshine, because like the manipulative and kind of angsty things, like that's what people want. So it's like, no, that's not actually sunshine, you know? But Mika was actually like a legitimate like sunshine character. Like she's very genuine, she's very bright. And it's almost as if she takes her optimism too far, right? You take a look at that in her past and everything, but I appreciated that she was always honest and she was always sincere. And whenever a situation would come up where it's like, oh yeah, typically a main character would lie about this, like that was never the case. Like that was never like a conflict where she was lying about something, which I really appreciated. It was kind of like a breath of fresh air. So I really liked how she was like an actual genuine sunshine trope.
She put the sun and shine in sunshine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And honestly, it was really cute the way that everyone loved her smile so much.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I want to be that endearing to everybody all the time.
Now, speaking of sunshine and smiles, let's bring up the opposite.
Thunderstorm and rain.
Our secondary character, or I guess, well,
love interest.
Yeah, I was going to say, is that a spoiler? But if you've listened to the show before, you know that our priorities are very clear. And so our second character is Jamie Kelly, and three words we would use to describe him is grumpy, golden-hearted, and introverted.
Oh, dude.
So what did you think about our love interest?
He is not the type of fictional guy that I would typically root for. Not like I rooted for him, but he's not the one that I'd be like, oh my gosh, I love him so much. Like he's not a Park. He's not an Adrian. Yeah. He's not one of those.
Yeah. You're soft boys.
He's not a soft boy. And I think this is also the case for you, but I did find him intriguing, and I really liked his romance with Mika. And I appreciated that he was more than just a love interest. Like, he actually had character to him. He actually had a background. And you could tell, like, what he loved and what he didn't and his motivations. And, I mean, it's like, Keimi, that's a character. And you're like, that's so basic. But I feel like in today's age, with all these romance stories, the male lead often doesn't get enough development. So I appreciate that he actually had a character.
Yeah, I appreciate that with Jamie, that he feels like a really realistic grumpy. Mm-hmm. Because it usually feels like in the sunshine and grumpy trope that the grumpy's not really grumpy. He's just sexy and moody.
Yep.
And so I liked that in this story. It really is that he just kind of is a grumpy guy. Like, he's legitimately just kind of like a negative Nelly. But that he still has, you know, even with that he's still a good person inside. Mm-hmm. And in the book, he's kind of described specifically to be as kind and not nice. And I think that's a really good way to sum him up. Mm-hmm. He's not someone who's going to be overly polite or like really complimentary or anything like that. But in the same way that Mika is, but in a different way, he is genuine. Mm-hmm. And so I did like seeing how they both connected in those ways.
They had like similar enough core beliefs, but they were different externally, I would say.
Yes.
Which is that's how I want to see like opposites attract.
Yeah.
And so like that was really satisfying to see how both of them kind of like equaled to each other.
Yeah, have the same core, but then be different.
Exactly. Now, this book primarily takes place in the countryside of magical England, particularly at Nowhere House, a cozy mansion near a beach, surrounded by a garden and protected by enchanted wards. What did you think about our cozy little setting in the countryside?
I was like, if this place ever Airbnb'd, I'd be there in 1 second, 1 heartbeat, because honestly, I feel like this place is a place that I would happily have as my future.
Yeah.
It's a cozy, well, I mean, of course, a cozy mansion. Who's going to say no? I can't act like that I'm so special that I'd want that. But just the fact that the house does feel like a home. That's what I love the most about this setting, is that even though maybe externally it's kind of like your traditional kind of like witchy mansion in a way, it feels different. It feels very warm. It feels, even though we don't explore every corner of the house in the book, you feel like you have explored it. And so I liked that there was that warmth, there was that safety. You, in the story, you do feel like this is a sanctuary that you want to protect. And so 5 stars on Airbnb.
Yeah, it was kind of like Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children, but not as like edgy or campy and actually soft and like cares about children.
I'm sensing you might have some angst.
I've never read the book. I've seen half of the movie. So, I mean, take my opinion with a grain of salt, but that's just what I'm basing it off of. I really loved this setting, particularly because with contemporary settings or more contemporary settings, you don't get a lot of world building. But I really loved how well Sangu Mandanna kind of weaved in the contemporary with the magical. Like, I felt like, oh yeah, this could absolutely happen in this real life. But she just made it so warm, and it's so hard to make a setting warm, like actually feel like home. Like you feel like you're in like a cozy little chair with like the softest blanket in the fireplace, you know? Not in the next to the fireplace. In the a little too warm. But I loved that I didn't have to question things, you know, with me, with world building.
You do love world building.
If I can question it, at least if I can question it, then I'm not in the story. Right? And so I had questions about the story, yes, but I didn't question the actual world, which was, again, just like really nice to read, because I was actually just in it, and I wasn't just like, well, how does this work and how does that work? And so just like the way the author just like weaved both of those so well together, I really enjoyed it. Plus, this had to be in England. You can't have that much tea and not be in England.
No, in America, we don't. The only place we have that much tea is in the harbor.
It's like, yeah, I drink tea, but like they drink tea like every meal.
Oh, I honestly, no disrespect, but I could not. I couldn't. Really, the only liquid I like is water and hot chocolate.
You barely drink it. No, tea's a morning thing. That's my opinion.
But speaking of tea, and really this isn't a segue.
No.
I'm just pretending like it is. We're going to move on to writing style. So, Keimi, what did you think about the author's writing style in this book?
I found it very whimsical.
Yes.
I very much enjoyed it. I was like, yeah, for a cozy kind of found family romance, this is exactly what it was needed of it. I didn't really find any faults or anything. I think she did really well in the descriptions and the pacing. The pacing actually was amazing. I really loved the way everything flowed. So, like 10 out of 10, honestly, with the way this book was written.
Yeah, I think this book did a really good job. I like that you mentioned pacing, because it can be hard in a contemporary to keep things interesting.
Yeah.
I feel like contemporaries have it the hardest because you're not in another world. So, like, you know your surroundings. And so it can be hard to generate continued interest. At least I feel like. I'm not the biggest contemporary reader. So I did like that with this story, that the problems and the pacing and the plot were real sensible problems that fit both the real world and then the magical realism side of things. And then, yeah, I found the writing to be very, like, magical and kind of almost like the transatlantic accent as a writing style.
I see that. It's very, like, almost like there's a narrator.
Yes.
Almost like there's a narrator kind of, like, telling you the story. Kind of like a storytelling tone.
Yes.
Without having an actual narrator.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good way to put it.
I was like, how do you put this? Because I also noticed that, but I was like, how am I going to explain that?
How to explain a person talking to me through words on a page?
It's hard.
It is hard.
Yeah, I honestly, like 10 out of 10, really. Like, this book was written exactly as it should have been. Mm-hmm. Ooh, but it's our favorite segment because it's our favorite things
about this book.
So, yeah.
We should hope it's our favorite section.
And be like, no, the synopsis, that takes way too much time for us to not be our favorite. But yeah, we're just going to list off our favorite things about this book. They're not spoilery, hopefully.
They shouldn't be.
Yeah, if you like Grumpy or Sunshine romances.
Witchcore.
Kiki's Delivery Service.
Tea.
Murders children.
Yeah, honestly, if that's a trope you like.
But like soft.
But humorous.
Yeah.
Found family.
Secrets and lies, but again, soft.
Not like world shattering, even though it did kind of shatter my world, I'm not gonna lie. Cozy fantasies.
Warm and fuzzy feelings.
Plants.
Koi fish.
Golden retrievers.
I can never say it. LGBTQ plus representation. Yes, I had to enunciate.
Complicated familial relationships.
Reluctant parenthood.
Orphans.
Loneliness.
Spells.
Moonlight.
Stardust.
England.
And Northern Irish curmudgeons.
Curmudgeons.
Oh, you say the line because I said it wrong. I didn't do it justice.
Northern Irish curmudgeons.
Then this book might just be the cozy Halloween October read you're looking for.
Yeah, honestly, if anyone was like, hey, do you know of a cozy book to read in October? This is the first book I'd recommend.
I'd be like, do you also like tea? You do? Better read this book.
Actually, if they said, hey, I just want like a cute romance for October, this is the first book I'd recommend.
Exactly.
So maybe like buy it at your local bookstore or Amazon if it's cheaper.
Or go to your local library because wonderful people like Keimi work there.
Yeah. You might be on a holds list though, so just like watch out for that.
It gets intense. Now, Keimi, we are on to the final portion of the episode. Which, if you couldn't tell,
I'm panicking about because I forgot.
Yeah.
I haven't thought about this.
We have now reached the rating portion of the episode where Keimi and I, on a unique scale, we have to do a service to ourselves because we made up each thing. Okay.
People go either to 10 or to 5. We go
to 7 because we're cool.
Yeah.
So on a scale of 1 to 7, 1 being literal trash and 7 being fangirl mania, Keimi, what would you rate The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches?
I love how you have to say it so quickly every time. I really enjoyed this book, actually.
I can really sense the love.
I honestly just like all of the things that I nitpick with books, like I was satisfied with it in this story because it had a purpose and it was executed well.
Yeah.
I mean, like, was the romance like one I was like screaming over and like, I was like, oh no, like what's gonna happen? No, but again, that wasn't its purpose. Oh gosh.
It's hard.
I think I'm gonna give this book a 6. That's my first 6 in months, which is, I actually forgot now because it's been so long since I've used it.
So your last 6 was The Stolen Heir by Holly Black.
Oh my gosh, that was so long ago. Well, what is it on our scale? I've literally forgotten.
Oh, 6 is, it was literary.
It was literary.
Yeah.
It was literary. It was. So yeah, that's my first 6 in months. I will give it a 6.
Oh, wow. The power of a 6. Being in the room with a 6 is really powerful.
Because I don't have any complaints about it, really. I mean, I can say like just like little things that I just would have preferred, but that's like a preference rather than like something I actually found wrong with it. So yeah, 6.
Ooh. What do I read it now? I don't know. Okay, I will say, I'm not typically a contemporary reader.
You're not.
And so it's hard because then it's like, well, I don't want to give it a low rating or something just because it's not my thing. because it was done very well. The writing style was fantastic. The characters were very lovable and easily lovable as well. I did have a few questions at the end. And I wish a little bit with the backstories, that the backstories were kind of foreshadowed a little bit more with the characters, because sometimes I felt like they just kind of came up. But I don't know what to do.
I always get so curious with contemporaries, just because, like, they really are not your thing. Most of this, like, all the contemporaries you've read is because we've done it for this, or, like, I've literally been like, Taylor, read this book.
Eleanor Park was really good.
I love that one so much.
I think I will give this book a 5.45.
Ooh, that's lower than I was expecting.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. That's your opinion.
Which is a feeling my shelf on our rating scale. But I will say, it might just be because contemporaries maybe just aren't my thing. Or aren't, like, my go-to. Or I think for me, I really like really emotional stories. Which isn't to say the story wasn't emotional. It was. But it's very feel-good, and apparently I just like pain. So
Taylor really likes the angst.
I do like the angst.
I actually, as I was reading this book, I literally thought to myself, this isn't Tay's type of book. Tay's not into the cozies.
Like, Tay doesn't want comfort.
Which I think is hilarious because you hate betrayal.
True.
Which is like the root of all angst.
True. Yeah.
So, I can't quite explain why you would like a book. I just know if I read it, I can be like, oh, Taylor's really going to like this book. And that wasn't the case for this. So, like, your rating makes sense.
I'm still sorry to the world, though.
Why are you sorry? It's your opinion. But thank you so much for joining us on Kiwi and the Bird. Let us know on Spotify's Q&A or on social media what you thought about our rating for The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches by Sangu Mandanna.
Speaking of social media, and actually this is a proper segue.
Oh.
Because you just mentioned social media.
Oh.
But be sure to follow us on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter/X.
No, Twitter.
All the good stuff at Kiwi and the Bird. But even though we do go by at Kiwi and the Bird on all those other things, if you would like to forward us business inquiries, our email is kiwiandthebirdpodcast@gmail.com, because we really want you to put in the extra work, I guess, if you want to email us.
Just think of it as like a running gag.
And so if you participate, it's like you're in on the inside joke.
Oh my gosh, so fun. We're so funny. But join us for our next episode where we discuss The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches in full detail. And remember, like a library, at Kiwi and the Bird,
happens.